Live from Western New York, it is the WNY Report with your hosts, Paula Collins and Nikki Lawley. Nikki, where are you?
I am on my way home from Canada, the Great White North.
The Great White North. Um, I think it's really interesting that you have to make this regular trek to go tend to business in Canada. Won't we all long for the day when that won't be a necessary trip for you?
Yeah, it's not that it's quote necessary anymore, but it's quote quality of life. And it's so much more economical to purchase cannabis medicine here than it
Mhm,
is in the state as a medical patient or the state as an adult use consumer. Um, and, this has kind of been my way of life. So I literally know the brands here so well. I can walk into a dispensary and they see me coming and they've already got my terp list figured out and know what I'm coming for. So, you know, it's, um, it's really cool to see that. Like, I always go to the same dispensary, and the humans are just super educated and super collaborative and really happy humans. And I get this infused pre roll here. It's called DAB, DAB BODS, BODS. I don't know why DAB BODS is what it is, but it is super terpy. It's super effective. And it's like 28 bucks for three 3/4 gram joints, and they're infused, they're very medicating, super rich in terpenes, and I just like it. And then before I go home to New York, I always have to stop by my favorite storage unit and then drop my cannabis off before I cross the border because naturally we don't want to be caught with international quote drug smuggling.
mhm. So, those prices that you quoted, are those US or Canadian?
Canadian. So
Canadian.
knock 30% off that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then, but you do have a little bit of tax that's not included in that. Like they tax the
Mm,
whole thing. So, say for my 120 $18 order, it was say $17 in taxes.
mhm,
Like, so the whole bill was like 136 bucks or something.
mhm.
So, but very effective. I mean, I had a nice weekend. My friends cooked for me. I love when my friends cook for me. And then I bring home lots of leftovers and they make these arancini balls. OMG. And then maybe I'm saying it wrong. I don't know. But it's like the rice balls, like double breaded and just yummy. And then oh my God, the ribs. They use this sous vide machine. I don't know if you've ever heard of these things. It's a water bath and it keeps the food at like the perfect temperature for cooking, like meat.
Mm.
And like they put them in Friday afternoon and we ate them today. So they've been cooking since Friday afternoon and they just fall off the bone. I mean, I sound like I've got the munchies, but I really don't. I mean, just just sharing my good experience. Why do I travel to Canada all the time? It's not just for the cannabis, it's for the food too.
Okay.
Um, Boom.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
So
Well,
you have to monitor the chat. So make sure no one's saying hello to us because we
I
assume
am
we're live, but we don't know if we're live.
I am monitoring. Let me check.
If anyone's out there in the cyber of space, just let us know you hear us loud and clear.
Mhm.
That'd be beautiful. We'd love that. Because our lovely software doesn't always share that with us.
Let me just post on LinkedIn.
Yeah, if you can hear us, say hello.
Yeah, I posted that. Here we go.
So, Paula, what have you been up to, my queen?
Well, we have a tax filing deadline on Friday. Partnership returns and S corps are due on Friday. So I have a couple of several different partnership returns, some of which are cannabis related. I've got a bunch that are in California that are
Hmm.
uh, partnerships. Um, and so I've been busy with that. And then I've been busy with a lot of these mergers of card applicants with investors. And it's very intense work. It's not all of the, I will put together pairs of people and we'll meet and greet. And sometimes it's an immediate, this isn't going to work. Um, and then other times, we've put in the paperwork to OCM and we're sitting back and waiting for things to happen.
Boom sleigh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Um, I think that I think the next 6 months in New York cannabis will be very telling. I know that things have changed a lot in Western New York with more dispensaries open. Have you been to any new other, I mean, there's Buffalo Dreams. Um,
I was there most recently. That's the last one I've been to most recently. It was Buffalo Dreams. Very nice layout, very nice staff, very clean, very convenient location right on Niagara Falls Boulevard and almost the corner of Sheridan. So in Buffalo, that's a pretty main area that a lot of people go to. So she's in a great location. Shout out to B if you're
Shout
listening.
out to B is right.
Uh, I always forget the other girl's name. I don't mean to, but I do.
Jamie. Jamie.
Jamie, B and Jamie and B. Go Jamie, go B. Um, but yeah, so that opened, and then like Treehouse Cannabis or something. Don't quote me on that name, but another one in Amherst just opened. The one that I really want to visit is Premier Earth. I've heard nothing but amazing things about them. Of course, we have Dank 716. Boom. Um, but
Boom.
but then we have lots of hemp dispensaries trying to get in the game. Then that's probably the biggest frustration I have with OCM is people that have property, people that are operating currently in the space, paying rent, they're ready to build out. Why do they not have a license? Why are we still fiddle fucking around with all the other stuff that isn't relevant? I mean, don't misunderstand. I'm not saying social equity isn't relevant or the card program isn't relevant, but I'm saying these are people that have everything on the line and they should be in a place to actually, you know, get a dispensary open. Like, what are we waiting for?
Um, I want to do that. Um, I want to talk about that. What is our link? Because I was going to put the link on.
You got to go to LinkedIn, hit invite, and then do that. Because
Yikes.
I can't share my link publicly because then they'll all be on our show. Not that we have a problem with that, but I think it could get a little chaotic. Like our invite link, my invite to you is not the same as what the public would sign on with.
Okay, so I go to LinkedIn. I hit,
Manage or something, or invite, or just do a repost, and then with your thoughts.
oh,
Not going so well?
I'm failing at that.
All right. Well, then hopefully they'll check us out later. We do have 5 spies on here, though. I see 5 eyes, but I don't know if like where they're from. They could be LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. You never know. It's a mystery every time we go on restream. It's like mystery tech. Oh look, now we have 6. Wow, things are happening. So there's definitely 6 eyes, and that's like the most eyes I've ever seen. I don't know where they're coming from, but pretty awesome. So how about Collins for Congress? How's that going, sister?
So
My
Collins,
cannabis loving congresswoman, almost.
well, it was really super exciting to hear Joe Biden actually mention marijuana in the State of the Union address. Apparently, he is the first president to mention marijuana since Ronald Reagan.
Well, what a comparison that is.
Yeah.
They're
And,
about the same age.
yep, I think that, Ronald Reagan is still dead, but,
Yeah.
Joe Biden is still with us. And, we hope to keep it that way at least through the election. But, the I think that I think a lot of people are very, very interested in cannabis as I travel around the state and talk to different people. Um, I I think that I think the people have already decided on this issue, and it's just a matter of the laws catching up.
I think you're right. I think that's a very safe assumption. And I still think the stigma associated with exactly who you mentioned, Ronald Reagan, and some of the precursors prior to him, and the war on drugs, I think those messages are so heavily ingrained in so many people's brains, though, that to deprogram that takes time. To educate them in a way that they understand takes time. And unfortunately, a lot of emphasis in this industry is not placed on education. And I feel that's probably one of the biggest struggles I'm up against, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a PTA member, whether it's, you know, grandma down the street, not my grandma, she died. But, just trying to remove that perpetual stigma,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm always trying to do. Um, we're coordinating a 420 event in the falls, Elevate Niagara Falls, that we're working on finalizing some very critical details like a location. And once we finalize that, one of the education experiences that I really hope to bring to the table is that immersion experience, the how to do the cannabis, the why does a COA matter? Why do you want to buy from a dispensary rather than a legacy operator in many cases? Why do you, how do you like navigate all these hundreds of choices of products? What's best for you? How do you talk to a bud tender in a way that you feel comfortable?
Mhm.
So these are all things that like I hope to really talk about on this 420 event because we're having workshops, vendors, cannabis, consumption, the whole nine.
Well, I think some of the best advice I heard, and it was around the holidays, and it's probably so basic that you're just gonna roll your eyes at me and say, "Sis, you gotta get with the program here."
Do
But the
tell.
best advice that I heard was for somebody who has not been a regular consumer or a recent consumer, start low and start slow. So start with a very low dosage and, don't take a gummy or smoke something or take a tincture, um, and then 15 minutes later say, "Oh, I don't feel a thing. Let me, bring it on. Let me have more." Because it will kick in and it will kick in. The people who haven't experimented with any kind of substances in a number of years are shocked to find that the potency is a lot higher than what they remembered. And the truth of the matter is, two things changed. Their bodies changed, and the whole concept of genetics and preservation of certain strains has changed and gotten much more scientific and science-based. The other thing is, frankly, when they were buying, in middle school, they, they didn't know what they were buying. They didn't know where that plant came from. They
They
didn't know
didn't have a name. None of them had a name. The first
weed.
time I smoked pot, it was weed, man. I got some good weed. And I mean, if I think about the crap I smoked in like the early 2000s when, I was at parties and stuff, I was like, it was like cut grass clippings. I mean, the difference is gigantic now
Yeah.
because we care so much more. We understand the importance of preservation and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to yawn while you
I
were.
was like, "Are you yawning while I'm talking?
I'm
Am I boring
so
you that much?
sorry.
What the hell?"
No, no, it's all about me, not about you. No, I'm just running on fumes here. Um,
Well, it's not like you don't have your hands full, my queen.
and you now, I think you'll be making a few lifestyle changes here in the coming weeks.
I think so. We're just waiting for all that final paperwork to be processed, and then
Okay.
I'll be
And then
making
big announcements.
announcements.
Okay.
Yes,
More to
yes.
come. And if that wasn't sort of a teaser there for our
Oh,
audience,
yeah. If you know, then you know. But if you don't, you better come back to find out.
stay tuned. So I did make a list. We were texting earlier. Um, what are some positive things you can do while you're waiting to hear from OCM? There are a number of people throughout the great state of New York who are waiting with bated breath. They think, oh, at the next OCM meeting, surely my name will be announced in connection with a license. So, what are some positive things that people can do while they're waiting?
Research, research, and research a little more. And when I say research, if you're a retailer hoping to get a license, learn what brands are out there. Like, learn what's selling, learn what's not. Check out different packaging, check out different displays. Go to every dispensary you possibly can and see what they're doing right and see what maybe you could improve on. That's honestly the biggest thing. Network with your fellow dispensary owners. If you're waiting for a micro and you don't know if where that's going, like, figure out that real estate. Figure out, once you find that real estate, talk to your town people. You've got a lot of work ahead of you to actually make that happen. Even if you're in the queue, there's still more to do.
Yeah.
Like, research. There's so many, like, grows and things going out of business in California, where a lot of equipment is becoming more and more available, like lightly used or never used. Oklahoma as well. Like, I'm hearing this all over the place, where there's lots of used or barely used, like, new equipment that cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you might be able to get for the hundreds of dollars instead.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's just, it seems like such a simple thought, but not a lot of people think of it.
No, and especially in that pathway of legacy to legal, um, what happens to a lot of people once they realize, oh, the license is going to happen and it's going to happen in the coming weeks or maybe a few months, but the license is on its way.
Hmm.
Um, and unfortunately, what I see a lot of my legacy guys do is they turn more inward. Like they start planning, oh, we're going to do this and I've always wanted to do that, instead of turning outward and doing that market research like what you talked about, because it's kind of too bad that we think of it as just a legacy to legal, because it's almost a completely different business.
Right.
And so I went to meet with somebody. I went to meet with somebody recently and he was talking about, oh, we're going to bring in this brand and we've got all of this stuff happening and blah blah blah, and I'm like, do you realize that none of what you just said can happen with your license?
OMG. Yes,
And
that
there
is
is
happening a lot.
the other thing, enforcement has been a little bit strange, and there are some products that are on shelves that should not be. And so it's almost that same gray market thing where, well, if they can get away with it, then I can.
Right.
And it's just very frustrating to hear that. And I'm like, yeah, but now the stakes are
Now they're
really higher.
watching.
The
They're
stakes are much higher.
watching. Yeah.
Well, on some things they've said that they aren't, but you never know when that changes. You never know when that will flip. The other thing is um, that what I call the Walmart of cannabis, that people think, oh, I've got my license now. And so I'm going to have this grow operation over here and my buddy over there, right next door. We're going to be in business together, but it's not going to be on the books, but we're going to, help each other's businesses. And I'm like, no, it has to be entirely separate. And you need to just focus on your business and not worry about your buddy's business unless you have the micro business and that is actually a business partner. Um, and then the final thing that really frustrates me is this concept that they're gonna, and they say that they know better, but still they act like the opposite. It's almost like they really believe that they'll lock the place up one night at 7 o'clock p.m., spend all night adorning it with licensed paraphernalia and the QR code, and open up the next day as a licensed store. And I'm like, dude, no, it's not
Not
happening.
even a little,
You've
not even
you've
a tiny
you've
bit.
got to plan for a bare minimum of 1 month of downtime, and
And
that's
1 month is being very kind, especially with all the
extremely,
licenses coming on board. You
yeah,
know,
extremely
I would
kind.
say 2 months is more realistic, but again, maybe they are hiring more investigative people and more people like on an emergency temporary basis, sort of like the contract tracers. Now they're hiring like weed investigators. Um, but they're not exempting it like you still have to like be a former cop. You still have to have like civil service stuff. Like it's not just random like contract tracing was to just about anybody. So I don't qualify, but um, hopefully things are getting better. I mean, 78 stores are open now across the state uh, with 10 delivery, right?
Mhm,
Um, and there's more popping up. We have 7 in Buffalo now, the Buffalo area.
mhm.
So that's a lot for our area compared to just 3 medical ones that we've had for the last 5 years,
And of
4
course, we know
years.
of others who are waiting,
Yes. Yes.
so there will be
As
more.
there will be more. And, as brands are coming into the space from other states and getting these licensing deals with processors and everything, they need brand reps to sell their products to the different dispensaries, right? And they're not taking into consideration the size of the state. You cannot have one human for the entire state of New York. Rethink that, humans. And at a bare minimum, you need 2 people and one downstate in the city and the boroughs, and one that covers Albany the other way, in my opinion. But it's a pretty solid opinion because nobody that's working in Long Island is going to be checking out stores in Buffalo on a regular basis. So you've got to pick your battle. You got to pick your lane. If you've only got enough money for one human, then figure out where your product's going to have the most impact and invest in that human in that area. But some of these jobs that I've seen, they literally want someone to manage the processing aspect, manage the salespeople, and manage their own territory.
Mhm.
That's not likely. One person can't do all that.
Well, speaking of my campaign, New York's 21st congressional district is over 15,000 square miles. That's a lot of
Wow.
square miles. It's like if you took the Adirondack Park and then just like made it stretch all the way to Fort Drum, in the western area, and then a little bit further east towards, well, it no longer goes to the Vermont border, but it's really huge, and New York is huge.
15,000.
People don't realize New
They
York is
really,
huge.
really don't get it. And I mean, until you travel it, you really don't understand it. Until you've had to manage territories in it, it's very difficult for you to conceive it in a way if you're not from here.
Yeah.
And even those that are here don't really get it if they've never traveled this far west, you
Well,
know?
yeah, my downstate colleagues don't realize that if you get just a little bit outside of the city, it's rural.
Yeah.
It's and you're not gonna find Starbucks, and you're not
No.
even gonna find Walmart in a lot of the places, which surprised me, but
Well, yeah. But you're definitely not going to find Macy's either. So,
Main Street or, or a dispensary.
Right, right. I mean, you might have one dispensary, like, for many, many, many zillions of miles. That's why our medical program has been such a frustrating thing, because people that don't live near a dispensary can't get medical cannabis. So accessibility has been a long-term, long time issue
Mhm.
for patients.
Okay, and that's what I wish we could change, is accessibility. I think
Hmm.
that if I could, I had my questions. Question 2 out of 4.
Ooh,
You
two
ready?
out of four. I'm ready.
Right, here we go.
Boom.
Batter up. If you could change one thing about the application process, what would it be?
I addressed that earlier, and that was the people that have the places ready to operate and open now should be literally open.
Yeah,
And I so that would be my biggest
numero uno.
numero uno thing that I feel that they're not getting. The second thing would be the event permits, because with 420 coming up,
Right, right.
the OCM has kind of made it impossible to have a legal event.
Mhm, they have.
I mean, like, it's a month away, roughly 41 days, something like that. And we don't have any guidance. We don't have any grower showcases anymore. So it's not like I can give the card dispensary the business. It's not like I can bring the brands and let them sell their products like in the grower showcase. It's a whole thing. So, like, we have all these different events going on in New York State, and to my knowledge, like, I don't see how any of them are legal, because we have no guidance for event permits. And the last thing I want to do is be affiliated with any kind of event that's doing anything illegal.
Yeah.
Hi,
Oh,
Mark.
hi, Mark. Um,
We have someone that we know is watching. Boom.
boom. And I looked at my questions and we had covered them. Like we talked about Biden's speech. We
Yep.
talked about there was one other thing that was on there. But as I was looking through our conversation, I glanced at that link that you had shared with me. So for our audience, what happened this week is somebody went to my campaign website, Paula Collins for Congress, running for U.S. House of Representatives in the 21st Congressional District. Hello from Niagara Falls.
That's where
Um,
I am.
yep, that's where Nikki is. Um, and they went to my website and then decided to email me and ask how could they get a medical cannabis card. And I guess they made the connection of me saying I'm a cannabis tax attorney and dedicated to public service and ready to serve the people of New York 21. So she stepped right up and asked, well, how do I get a medical cannabis card? So me being so resourceful, hello, Mark. I, of course, reached out to the person who would know, and that's Nikki Lawley. And so Nikki was able to share a link from her site, Nikki and the Plant, that really makes it streamlined and so painless to be able to start that process. So I really am grateful to you, Nikki, and I wish that more people knew that that was there. So I will make it a personal mission to let people know to go to Nikki and the Plant.
Nikki and the Plant, under the resources tab, you can get your medical card via LeafWell and save 15 bucks by just mentioning the word plant. Boom.
Boom,
I mean,
boom.
obviously, if you have your own personal doctor, I'm not trying to take business from your personal doctor. Renew with who that is, but not everyone is certified to recommend cannabis in New York State. So
But it has
everyone
gotten
has
much
different
easier,
needs.
right? And it's much more available to physicians to provide that service.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a 2 or 3 hour course now. So, I
Mhm.
mean, if any doctor is interested, they can literally go to the OCM website and sign up for that. And they're having like a peer to peer kind of class or intervention or whatever you want to call it for physicians with the Office of Cannabis Management. They've really, really stepped up their messaging on the medical cannabis program, which I'm very grateful for. I mean, I've waited for this for a long time, just hearing it's medicine and, they're not backing down from like Instagram. They're saying the Office of Cannabis Management, they're not playing with words. They're not,
Mhm.
shadow banned. And it's like, man, I wish I could be that way, but like the office has like political liaisons in places like that. So they get a pass. And not that I'm saying that's bad, that's good. But I think a lot of us that are on the ground here bringing that message over and over again, we should be heard and seen as well.
Well, that's an interesting point because we have known people, haven't we, who have had their Instagram shut down. Uh,
Mine's constantly in jail,
yeah,
constantly.
and it's just because of mentioning the word.
The C word. Or, I mean, God forbid you use the M word.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. And so
But the C word will do it too.
so I wonder if that will change when we go Schedule 3, because it looks like we're not gonna deschedule. It looks like
Do you really? I still don't know that Schedule 3 is gonna go anywhere. I mean, we can be assumptive, but I don't know. There's still so much sketch and so much unknown out there about that. That
yeah,
I mean,
I
I
agree.
mean, it's a catch-22. Be careful what you wish for. Like now we're gonna have more interagency intervention and like bigger scrutiny and like a lot more is going to change by moving to Schedule 3 because we've just gone from heroin to Adderall.
Mhm, mhm.
It's just, it's still a thing,
Yeah,
and but the good news with that is insurance will be covering it in many cases. The other thing is, states won't be able to have that. Well, we think they won't have that, as negative connotation of it because now, you can get in the cannabis business and hopefully that'll help with 280E and different things like that that are currently making it obstacle like in the industry now.
mhm. So Mark says, interesting about IG, Instagram, and
Mm.
cannabis shut down on content.
Oh,
So
it's a thing, Mark. Like you probably don't see half my posts because Instagram's got me on complete shadow ban. I changed my account to a personal account and I changed it to private because literally every single thing I posted was not being posted. I would get a notice saying Instagram has removed your content for violating community standards over and over and over again from posts from 6 months ago, posts from the day before, posts from 2 years ago. Like a picture of a pot leaf,
mhm,
not even saying the word. Um, and like now, I use the cannabis with the at symbol for the A's. Um, but really, like any hashtags that have the word cannabis in it, any hashtags that have bud tender in it, indica, sativa, and hybrid, these are all flagged from Instagram and they will
mhm.
get you shut down.
So Mark says, has not happened to me yet. I've had it happen to
Congrats.
me, even when I was talking about cannabis tax. Now, come on.
I don't sell anything at all. Like, I educate, that's just crazy.
So
Um,
Mark says, I have very little cannabis content on my IG, most on global cannabinoid solutions.
Yeah, that's like a European dude, Chris Tasker. He's a badass. Oh, bad butt. He's a really good guy in the UK. So he has global cannabinoid solutions is his business, and he's connected me with so many cool people in the UK. I want to go to the UK bad, Paula.
Well, and we're missing Spanibus right now. I think
We
Spanibus
are missing Spanibus. Like FOMO is real, friends. FOMO is real.
FOMO is
Um,
very real.
Oh my God, Spanibus is lit. I hear it's like the best conference. Hall of Flowers is coming up, like right around the corner. Emerald Cup, or I think they call it Emerald something else now. Like everything is happening in May. They've got CanMed. I really wanted to go to that. But it's like
Where's Ken
35.
Med?
CanMed's on Marco Island, and it's going to be all these researchers and doctors and some
Where's
nurses. Marco Island, Florida. It's like beyond Naples, like the West Coast.
okay. I looked it up.
Yeah. I'm from Fort Myers, so I know
Oh, I
exactly where it
forget
is.
this. I forget this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a killer event. Product Earth, which is my buds in the UK, Matt and Gavin, they run a killer show, and it's going to be right in England this year. I think that's happening in late August, like the 23rd or 24th, or 23rd and 24th. God, that's the one I really want to go to.
Mhm.
Um, but I've met so many awesome people in the UK, in other countries. We have this women's group on Instagram that's like over the top of just badass women that, I don't know, we're close to 500 strong now. And the group is very active. And if you don't follow it on a regular basis, you will be so lost so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, you had that other group on WhatsApp, I think that I
Yes,
just
on
couldn't keep
WhatsApp,
up.
same one. That's the one I'm talking about.
I
Empower
cannot
her.
keep up. I only have so much bandwidth. So Mark says, Nikki, have you ever connected to
Oh yeah,
a
she is
group
Tia. Tia is amazing.
in Thailand?
Yeah, Tia. I met her at BizCon, and I was introduced to her by Sam Della Prize, and she's a BA human, badass human. She's awesome.
Well,
Love
it's
her.
interesting. Just before we logged on tonight, I was checking my LinkedIn and I don't even remember who posted it, but it was about the influence of women in cannabis. And I think it goes way, way back to the indigenous days of cannabis when people were really, really using cannabis as a medicine and who was
Medicine women. There you
yeah,
go.
he was, of course, mixing up all of these, soups and tinctures and
Teas.
potions and, compresses, but the women.
Right?
And so it cannot be discounted how women have preserved this plant and moved it along.
Yeah. Celebrity stoner. Shout out to Steve Bloom. Boom. You're on that
Boom.
list too now, Paula. You and me and so many other awesome women. And again, it's not just about women. There are wonderful men in the industry as well. I feel sort of like, I don't know, over the top sexist almost, like for it always being about women and supporting women, but I don't think the average man really understands the uphill battle that we're facing from the industry perspective,
Mhm.
because it's always been bros doing bros, like John down the street's growing his pot. He sells it to Louis, who then sells it to Louis's customers, right? And it's always been guys kind of doing that. And now we're like a whole new delivery system. We're a whole new outreach group, and we're not often taken as seriously as men. And I think that kind of sucks, right? So people like Steve Bloom, our allies like George Gage with MJ Unpacked, like Kurt Robbins, he's an ally. Like there's so many good allies out there that I want to shout you guys out too. It's not that you're insignificant, but I think the ladies just need to really hear the applause, and you know we're doing it for the cause.
And I think I'm trying to look up what was that show a few years ago? It was Weed something, but it was about it was the same woman.
Disjointed.
No, there was that one, that was good too. But there have been a lot of women protagonists in television. I'm gonna have to find it. Um,
I love the Weed series. That one was funny.
I found a new one last night. I was
Oh,
looking
did you?
for something to watch. It's I think it's British, but it takes place in Great Britain, definitely. It's called The Gentleman,
Hmm.
and it's I won't give away too many spoilers, but basically this guy is told he's, British pasho, and he's told that his father, the Duke, is dying and he has to come home. He was serving in the military, and so he comes home. He's the second born, which means that all the titles and all the property should go to the firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
The firstborn is a cokehead, and so there's the dramatic reading of the will, and everything goes to the secondborn, who then discovers that there is this extensive marijuana grow operation under their property, like below ground. And
Wow.
so every episode is about dealing with that. And of course, then the cokehead brother owed a bunch of money. And so, how are we going to pay off all of his debtors because they're scary people? And it's really a riot. But the main person of the grow operation is a woman, and so he's having to deal with
Oh.
her. So
And she's probably very particular.
very, very, very not very happy with the cokehead brother either.
I'm sure not. I can see that. Did you ever see The Wolf of Wall Street? Oh my
Yes.
god, that's a wild movie.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about just lots of drugs, sex, and whatever goes, and money making and scandals and everything. Like, wow, that was an intense movie. Sorry, little sidetrack from our Western New York
No,
cannabis report.
I'm still trying to find this. Um,
Well, tell us about your cannabis and Congress position, that when you speak to your constituents, what do you say about it? Do you like, is that one of your key points that you talk about, or
well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, when I first approached, now keep in mind, my district it started off with 15 counties, and now we touch on 18 counties. And what's interesting, I announced my campaign in February. I was looking back through email today, like February 2nd, and that's of this year. So slightly more than a month ago. And in that time, we've had 3 different maps. Thank you, New York State Legislature.
very nice?
Um, and we lost counties and we gained other counties and we lost large parts of counties, like Fort Drum was taken out of our district. I still have a little portion of Jefferson County, but then we picked up other counties. So a lot of the challenge is just meeting with the county chair people. And when I first sat down with 4 of them, 4 of the at the time 15 that have now grown to 18, I said, I really would like to run, and they were very happy to have me run. Very, very grateful. Thank you for stepping up. And I said, now let's talk about the fact I can't step around the fact that I'm a cannabis tax attorney. If you Google me, that's what pops up. And I should go further and say that I'm not just a cannabis tax attorney. I have represented um, really some of the larger um, unlicensed shops in the state. And how do we want to present that? What are we feeling comfortable about? And they said, well, actually, Paula, um, in the northern country, or in the North Country, NOCO as we call it, um, there are a lot of farmers who have been growing weed for years, either for their own edification and pleasure, or that they have had to supplement their incomes. And, because farming is tough.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who also take the attitude, kind of that rugged individualist attitude of, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot smoke. If it's a plant, if it grew on my farm, if I want to smoke it, I can darn well smoke it.
Mm.
So, um, it's not something that I can really step around, and so far I've only had one person really push back on it, and she explained that she was an interventionist and needed to really let me know that it's kinda not cool with her that I promote cannabis. I look forward to many more productive conversations with her, but it also might be one of those things that we simply disagree on. Um,
Right.
I think that generally, what I can tell in campaigning is just in the time that I've been in New York, which is since 2009, New Yorkers have come a long way on this issue. And part of that might be that simply we passed the MRTA. Um, Remember during the Cuomo years, Cuomo was not so keen on cannabis. And so you would go to events and you would hear people say, yes, we need cannabis. And then you would step out of that event and people would be like, hell no, it's going to open the door to a lot.
Organized crime and underage use and
Yeah,
drug addiction and uh, the stepping stone to heavier drugs. You mean like those kind of comments?
those kinds of comments. Um, so I am pleased to hear that there's a lot more openness to it. It's kind of not a sticking point for so many different people. Um, I will say that some people have said, well, you can't talk very much about it because we don't have a lot of licensed cultivators in the state, which is true.
I mean, cultivators, don't we have like 263?
Yes, but how many of them are actually cultivating? We don't know.
Right.
Because if you look at how the brands are set up right now, right? The cultivator right now is also the processor and manufacturer
And delivery.
and delivery. And so that's a lot of the brand.
Right.
So we don't have that many brands in New York.
Are you kidding? Have you looked at, like, I'm telling you, some of these stores have like 400 and 600 SKUs. We
Yeah.
got a lot of brands, girl, and more coming every day.
Okay.
You gotta, like, seriously, because you're in New York City, maybe only a handful of brands make it to New York City.
I see the same like 2 dozen over and over and over.
Oh, hell no. I mean, I went to, hey,
KD,
KD
KD.
from Canada. Go Canada. Oh, Canada. But yeah, there are so many brands. Like next time you are in um Buffalo, we got to do a little dispensary run. We got to
Okay.
actually go to Rochester, 58 MJ 585 dispensary. I haven't seen more products than him. He's got like everybody's.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe how many products there were. I was like, I've never heard of 90% of these. And like, I know this industry.
Hmm.
So for me to say that, that's like pretty
That's where we
newsworthy.
need marketing rules to loosen up.
How about, yeah, we have some marketing rules to loosen up. How about that?
How
And
about
to
that?
be able to differentiate. And how about we go to a size maybe 12 font instead of an 8 font? Can I tell you here, though? Oh my God, in Canada. So this young 20 something year old girl, uh,
Whippersnapper, go on and say it.
little young whippersnapper, um, was helping me at the dispensary the other day. And she's reading like the terpenes, reading the strain name, reading the percent, like on 20 different ones. I get home to my friend's house and I look at it because I smoked the purple one and I could tell what the terpenes were, but then I wanted to see what the strain name was. Impossible to read. I had to take a picture and then I had to take another picture and I had to blow it up so big. I had to, zoom in and then like take another picture. It was ridiculous. And like
Ridiculous.
it's got to be smaller than 8. It has to be. I mean, it
And
was like micro font.
keep in mind, this is an industry trying to cater to the elderly.
Yeah. How about the 53-year-old? That would be awesome. I mean, it's not, I don't consider myself, I got
Excuse
glasses,
me,
man.
young lady, can you please read this label
Oh
for
my
me?
God. But this girl just like, I'm like, how can you read that?
You
Like,
need
I
to like
really
record her
appreciated
next
that.
time.
I need to take notes. Like, shit. It was
That's so funny.
incredible. Like really nuts. I'm trying to compile a list of all the education facilities, like people that are getting education certificates and diplomas. There's a big difference between a certificate and a diploma, and whether the institution is accredited or not. And so I'm trying to compile this like database for all the different education facilities, because people want to get trained, but they need to know where to go,
Well,
and there's
and that
so
has
many different
changed.
products, so many
It's
different schools out there.
and it's changed so much. And I think the very first event I went to in cannabis was probably 2015. I got on a train and I went to Nican in New Hampshire.
Boston. Boston.
No. No,
No.
it wasn't the Boston one. It was a
Okay,
small
it might have
one.
been New Hampshire.
Portsmouth. I think it was
New
Port.
Hampshire. Okay.
Yeah. And was just like amazed, and even then there were starting to be, like Oaksterdam and a couple of the other providers of education, but it was true even then that some were really good and some were really not good. Some were just like a bunch of bros that got together and slapped a few PDFs, you know, went to something and
Right.
to charge people a bunch of money. Um, Here in New York, it's interesting that at the same time that we're trying to roll out a lot of these programs, we're also having cutbacks in the SUNY schools. And so I hope that our cannabis programs will survive. It's also interesting as I look at the different SUNY schools just in my congressional district, the differences in their emphasis, you know? Yes, Dale Sky Jones. Um, some of them emphasize cultivating, some of them emphasize culinary, some of them emphasize the support services. And so not all programs are the same. And it's even more important to do your research than it would be if you were just looking for a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree.
It really is, because there's a lot of bullshit out there, and there's a lot of scams that say, "Oh, we've got all these different programs, and like people are hiring our students and graduates." Make sure of that. If they don't have like a career services person that's actually placing them, the odds are not real good that they're going to help you get a job. Just saying. And we talked about it last week, and I'll shout it out again. Getting a job in this industry is fiercely competitive,
Hmm.
fiercely. And it's very, very hard to get one that you really are passionate about, unless they really like you and you're the right age and you're the right everything. I mean, I hate to say it, but the ageism has been a thing for me. Experience used to matter. It doesn't so much anymore.
Hmm.
So, getting an education specifically for different cannabis segments, I think is going to be really important, especially for the younger people that are hoping to make this a full time, lifelong career.
So now let's segue from that to if you're going to pay money for this weed education, this weeducation, um, we've got to pay living wages. I'm sorry, $17 an hour is not enough to live on. Not in Western New York, not in
Definitely not in
North
New York City.
Country. I mean, in New York City, you're still looking at having 5 roommates in a studio apartment. That gets really cozy really fast.
Really fast. Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's so sad what we make people go through to get a job in terms of education, in terms of connections. What I love are the starting, or what do they call it? What's a
Entry level.
entry level position? Thank you very
Hmm.
much. That requires degrees and 5 years experience. Well, you
Right.
can't have it
Right.
both ways.
Entry level. Yeah.
Entry level.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
No.
Entry
No. And
level
so
is
we
the
want to pay
skills.
you $30,000 a year. Like,
Yeah.
do that math backwards. That's like your 16 bucks an hour. That is not a good wage. That is not good,
And
you know?
really, what were we trying to accomplish? We mentioned that word accessibility earlier in this conversation, but we were also trying to accomplish um, wealth building as well as career opportunities in cannabis. And you're going to see people bounce in and bounce out, and it costs a lot of money to onboard an employee.
It
And so
does.
nobody's ahead of the game here if we're not able to pay a sustainable wage, something that somebody could reliably work at that job for anywhere from 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
and pay their
And gets
rent.
benefits and gets benefits in like how about a 401k or how about stock options?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I just think there's a lot of this industry that still wants it to be like underground. It's sort of like babysitting, okay? Like babysitting, you used to pay somebody $2 to $5 an hour, right? Now you're paying them $20 an hour off the books. Like, when did that change?
Mhm.
you know, my daughter's got a 1 year old, right? And like, I had time for the last year to basically be her babysitter 3 days a week. Now she's having to pay someone. And like for 3 hours, they want $60. You can
Yep.
send him to daycare for 70.
Yeah.
She doesn't, which she really doesn't want to do because she's a new mom, right? She loves her kid. What can I say? I mean, and when I get a job, I mean, I'm not available. So she's got to look at all these different options. And then
Mhm.
she found a girl that she really, really liked. And then that girl just flaked on her. And
Oh, wow.
like horrible, and I feel horrible because I hope I make enough money to justify not being able to help her out and, you know, pay my bills and sustain and me have a quality of life and be
And buy
happy.
your weed. You make a sizable investment in your medicine.
I do every month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's embarrassing almost to say how much I spend, but anywhere from 500 to $1,000, easy
Mhm.
a month.
But it's what keeps you
But
alive.
it's what keeps me alive. It's what keeps me functioning. It's what keeps me funny. I've got some pretty fun things. On Thursday nights, we have comedy and cannabis with the Courage and Cannabis live here on YouTube. You guys got to check that out.
Oh, you gotta
Dr.
send me a
Bridget
link.
Williams. Yeah. The first day I did it, I mean, I was like in rare form. I was pretty obnoxious and pretty funny, and very filterless. And then the one we had this past Thursday, I was tied up in a meeting, so I couldn't attend. But um, yeah, 8:30 every Thursday. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Well, friends, we're drawing up to that wonderful hour of 9 p.m. For those of you that stuck it out with us, I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. We don't have a huge amount of news in Western New York from the OCM this week. So, you know, we got to improvise and we got to like share other experiences. So go Collins for Congress. We support you from the 21st district. And we love all of our support, you guys, and we look forward to seeing you next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Western New York Report with Nikki Lawley and Paula Collins. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.